Hello and welcome to the HR Kyle podcast, the ultimate resource for HR insights and guidance that will empower both seasoned business professionals and eager job seekers. I'm HR Kyle, your host. I'm excited to embark on this journey with you. In each episode, we'll delve into the intricacies of HR management, uncovering strategies that can transform the way you approach talent acquisition, employee engagement, and workplace dynamics. Whether you're a seasoned HR pro navigating the ever-evolving landscape of human resources or a job seeker striving to land your dream position, this podcast is your compass. Our mission is simple: to provide you with actionable knowledge, expert interviews, and inspiring stories that will help you thrive in the world of HR. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to take your HR game to the next level. Welcome to the HR Kyle podcast, where HR meets success. Welcome to another episode of the HR Kyle podcast. I'm your host, HR Kyle. Thank you for joining me today for another information-packed episode of the show. In segment 1, I'll be talking about a topic that entirely too many job candidates are familiar with: being ghosted by employers. In segment 2, I'll invite a member of a large university who assists students in securing and making the most of their co-op situation. But before we get to that, segment 2, let's dive into our discussion about candidates experiencing ghosting. For those who don't know, and at this point I'd be shocked if you didn't know what ghosting is in the job search process. But what it is, it occurs when a job candidate is suddenly ignored or basically receives no response from an employer after submitting an application, attending an interview, or completing a hiring process. Now, the impact of ghosting, especially on someone who is searching for a job and is committed to that search, and in a lot of cases needs to make that job change or to attain that job, it can have some really strong negative effects. And that's why we're talking about it today. Not only to the candidate's mental health, but also their confidence and their overall well-being. And so many times I see it leading to feelings of frustration, rejection, and uncertainty. And that's why I knew it was important that we talk about this today, because we need to talk about some coping strategies for dealing with ghosting and how you can take action to move forward and turn that rejection actually into an opportunity. So I don't have statistics here in front of me on ghosting. And quite honestly, I don't know how accurate they would be. But from my perception, I think it's safe to say that anywhere from 50 to 75% of candidates experience ghosting throughout their job search. What are the reasons for this? And again, not to take the other side and support this, because absolutely it's wrong. But what I hear from HR professionals is they're overwhelmed with their workload. There's been a change in hiring priorities, or simply they lack communication etiquette. But as I mentioned a little bit ago, the negative effect on the candidates and professionals, the impact to your employment brand, can be very dramatic. From the candidate's perspective, there are a few coping strategies that I would recommend. First off, acknowledge your feelings. It's important to recognize and validate your emotions, whether that's frustration, disappointment, or confusion. Secondly, reach out for support. And this support can come from friends, family, or a career coach, such as HR Kyle. They can provide encouragement, guidance, and perspective, or they can simply provide a listening ear. My other recommendation as far as coping strategies, and this really goes beyond being ghosted, but if you are in the midst of a job search, please focus on your self-care. Engage in activities that promote self-care and well-being. These might be exercise, meditation, yoga, hobbies that bring you joy and relaxation. It could be something as simple as taking a walk every day. But do something or some things that ensure that you're taking care of yourself, and it's that inner self, because by doing that, it enables you to better cope with this ghosting and the effect that it has on you. My other recommendation is take action. Don't sit back passively and let this happen. If you're feeling like it's a ghosting situation or it's becoming that, it's okay to follow up with that employer. Simply politely reach out to the employer for updates on your application status. Demonstrate to them that you have a continued interest and also demonstrate to them your professionalism in following up. Another way to take action, continue, or if you haven't yet, start your networking. Always be expanding your network. You're doing this by attending networking events, connecting with professionals on LinkedIn, and exploring other job opportunities within your industry. Another key step to take, and I wish this was obvious, but I know when we're in the midst of a search and it gets frustrating and you feel defeated after these ghosting situations happen, you got really high on a roll and then you're completely ignored. But please do this. Keep applying. Don't let one ghosting experience deter you from pursuing your career goals. Keep applying to other positions, exploring new opportunities that align with your skills and interests. This is a way to overcome and get past the ghosting effect, as I like to call it. The other piece of advice, turn that rejection into opportunity. One, reflect on the experience. Take some time to think about that experience, identify the areas that maybe you can improve. And again, you're not taking blame for it, but there are always things in every situation that we can look at and maybe possibly we can do different. And use that to grow your overall job search strategy. The other piece of advice, learn from the feedback, whatever it is. And it could be from your mentor, coach, friends, family, any other relations that you have that you're talking about this situation that you're dealing with. Use it as constructive feedback and insight. Again, to enhance your skills, but also to possibly update your resume and to continue to evolve and keep your interview techniques spot on. And then one more piece of advice that I have to say to you as far as turning the rejection into opportunity, stay positive. Every rejection brings you one step closer to the right opportunity, and you have to have that mindset. It's the only thing that's going to push you forward. So you need to stay positive, stay resilient, and stay focused on your long-term goals. Don't lose sight of those. Building resilience. I just spoke about that. How do you do that? For one, you're cultivating it. You're working at it, right? So develop those coping skills and those techniques to navigate setbacks and challenges in your job search journey. Embrace your growth mindset. Apply a growth mindset and view ghosting experiences as opportunities for personal and professional growth and learning. Whether that's reading articles online, reading a book about the topic, using it as a chance to say, maybe I can do something better in this process. But use it to build your resilience because unfortunately, it's something that's nearly inevitable in the job search. So we know it's going to happen. Build your resilience up against it before it happens. And then finally, and I tell job seekers this all the time, know your worth. And also, when you're in these situations, remind yourself of what your worth is. Despite these rejections or these ghosting experiences, remember that you bring value to the table as a job candidate. Your skills, experience, and talent are worthy of recognition and appreciation. And all it takes is one employer to pick up on that. Now, this has been a key topic in a lot of my work as HR Kyle. And I know that it's been a sensitive topic for many of you. If you have questions, if you'd like to share your experiences around this topic of being ghosted in your job search endeavors, reach out to me. Send me your questions, send me your experiences. Let's talk about those. That's a way to build that resilience because, again, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, ghosting has become nearly an automatic in the job search process. So let's come together and support each other through that process because you will get past it. You need to, and that's the best way to set yourself up for future success. So let's do a recap of what we talked about today. One, with ghosting, acknowledge your feelings. You're having them. Yes, it makes me angry. It makes me frustrated. It makes me nervous. Whatever those feelings are that you're feeling, acknowledge that they're happening and why they're happening. Number two, Take action. Remember, we talked about that. Don't let this small setback cause a pause in your process. Use those feelings that you're having to channel those to energy to take action. Also, turn that rejection into an opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity to reassess your process and the things that you're doing. Again, you're not admitting fault. You're simply saying maybe there's a better way to go about this. And then finally, because we find that this is so inevitable, work to build your resilience up. Do those things that are self-care because that's promoting your resilience. That's promoting your ability to get past this. It's promoting your ability to not fall down in the dumps or to feel defeated as a result of this ghosting experience. So you're making an effort to build your resilience. The other thing I want to do is encourage your persistence. Always stay positive, stay resilient. You're on a journey with that job search. And as we know, with any journey, there's ups and downs, there's exits off the highway at times, and we get back on the highway. No journey is straight, whether it's a trip that we're taking or it's our life journey. It's never straight. Realize that these twists and these turns and these ups and downs are going to happen, but be persistent in your journey because you're going towards a goal that's important to you. And folks, I really want to thank you for tuning in on this episode today. It's one that's been driven by the conversations that I have with the different candidates and so that I work with. And I hope that you found the information helpful to you today and useful as you're working through your search, or maybe you're considering your search going forward. Now, before we move on to the next segment 2, we're going to take a very brief break. You can learn more about my YouTube channel as well as how to buy my new book. And that's what we're going to be talking about in these 2 breaks that we take here in between now and segment 2. So stay tuned. We'll be right back shortly for segment 2 of the HR Kyle podcast. Are you ready to revolutionize your approach to talent acquisition? Introducing Recruiting is Easy by HR Kyle, your guide to mastering the art of strategic employment branding. Dive into the dynamic world of modern talent acquisition, where building an exceptional employee experience is key. Discover the strategic importance of community engagement and data-driven insights in shaping your employment brand. Learn how to continuously improve and adapt your strategies to stay ahead in the ever-changing HR landscape. Remember, success in HR is measured by the success of those around you. Let's lead others to the success that they desire and deserve. Get your copy of Recruiting is Easy today, available on Amazon. Empowering your HR journey and shaping the future of work, one relationship at a time. HR Kyle, transforming HR one page at a time.
Are you striving to lead your team to success? Or perhaps you're navigating the complexities of the job market. Introducing The Solution, the HR Kyle YouTube channel. Your go-to source for insightful guidance and practical tips. With short 1 to 2 minute clips, our videos save you time while delivering impactful, usable strategies. From effective leadership techniques to mastering the job application process, access valuable advice in minutes. Don't miss out. Subscribe to the HR Kyle channel on YouTube today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the HR Kyle podcast. I hope you enjoyed that brief break and had a chance to recharge. Now it's time for segment 2, which, as I always say, is my favorite part of the show. Today's no different. We have a special guest joining us whose name is Erin. And Erin's here to share her expertise on working with students to obtain and make the most of their co-op experiences. Welcome, Erin. We're thrilled to have you on the show.
Thanks so much, Kyle. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you and looking forward to this conversation today. Erin, I always start it off easy and then the questions get incredibly difficult after that. So we're going to start with the easy question first. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm a senior manager of a co-op program at a major university in the Midwest. I work with students in the College of Engineering to help them get co-ops and internships and real life experience prior to graduation.
Wonderful, Erin. A really good summary of what you do. And obviously, as we talk here, we're going to get into more of the specifics of the impact that you're able to have on a day-to-day basis. But In looking at your background a little bit, it includes earning a bachelor's degree in engineering and then working in engineering co-op before going into academia, where you're teaching, developing, and advising future engineers. How do you believe that experience has elevated your ability to assist students you work with?
I think it's just simply having a connection with students and having them know that I was in their position at one time. A lot of times, people in my position may not have an engineering background. So, yes, they know the career aspect of it, but having someone that's in your corner and knowing that engineering is tough, I understand. I was in their shoes and they can talk to me about it and they connect with me a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for a fact that that makes a big difference. Having worked with you now for a couple of years, I see that impact that you're having based upon that background. So it is definitely there. Now, as I mentioned, you and I have worked together now for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And besides that general impact that you've had over your students, one thing that's consistently stood out to me is just your strong commitment to students' long-term success well beyond that first role after graduation. Where does that motivation come from?
I think just having a commitment to them while they're in school and after graduation just gives them the sense that someone cares and they're more apt to give back in the future. Having a good relationship with them all along the way, they're going to give back to their college in some way, whether it be um, monetarily or just giving back in the classroom, just connecting with that school after graduation.
Yeah, and I think you've definitely seen the fruits of your labor with that. And to take that one step further, you've actually worked at a couple of major universities. And regardless of where you've been, what are some of the qualities that you've seen in students who get their careers started strongly?
Students that get their careers started strongly early on, they utilize their resources from the get go. They know how to talk with classmates, upperclassmen, as well as faculty staff that work in their college as well as their career services areas. They know how to network. They become involved not only on campus but in their communities. So that's just a good way to get started strongly, and it builds so many good skill sets for them to be marketable.
Aaron, so many valid points. And I know I've shared with you before, I can tell the students that you've worked with, not just from the quality of their resume, but these other qualities and characteristics that you mentioned. And that's something that I really admire and appreciate about your role is that you take an active role and you're perfectly comfortable having a student come in and saying, I don't know where to start, but I know you can help me.
And it happens quite often, and I'm willing to help. And I love when they come in and ask me that because it shows that they care.
Yeah. And then you demonstrate how much you care by pointing them in the right direction. And I share that because as much as I see students that take advantage of the services that you and your colleagues and contemporaries at other universities offer, I can also tell the students that don't. And this is something that I stress so often is that you're there to provide these services. There's no additional cost required. There, you know, beyond a time and effort commitment, you're really not looking for anything else from that student, but they do need to take that first step and reach out to you.
And a lot of times students just feel it's difficult to go for help. We're all stubborn at some points in our life, and being at that age, you just think, hey, I'm in college now, I can do it all on my own. I don't need help. But it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to seek resources, and it's okay to seek guidance because we are here to help. We are your biggest cheerleaders. We want you to succeed. That's what you're paying money to go to college and to get a degree for. You want that career, and we want to make sure that we help you find that right career for you.
And Aaron, you're there as well for students who have, or I should say, former students who have graduated and entered the workforce. You're also there
Mhm.
for them for resources, guidance, direction, advice. Am I correct?
That's correct. Whether it be just a simple, hey, I need some help updating my resume, or I'm looking to just switch careers. and do you have any leads, I try to help out as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, very true. And I've seen that in effect. And I know it's not uncommon for me to reach out to Aaron and say, maybe that I need someone who has a year or two of experience. We're not always looking to bring on a new graduate. And in those cases, for that person who's graduated a couple of years ago, there's a quick job lead. And Aaron has a plug into a lot of different companies throughout the area, as would her contemporaries, to be able to give you those job leads. So even if you're a graduate of a particular school and a program, more than likely they offer the same or similar type services to which Aaron's university does that can provide you that type of assistance. Well, on that related note, Aaron, I talk with a lot of students frequently about getting those internships and co-op experiences early and often in their college years. As you're guiding students through that process, what are some key pieces of advice and direction that you're providing so they make the wise choices towards their professional development?
Well, first, always get involved, uh, whether it be a university group, a design team, or just anything in the community that you're passionate about. Become involved. That's really great for your resume, and it just shows you're a well-rounded person. I also tell them to utilize your resources, like your faculty, staff, career services offices, just upperclassmen in your major. Just ask them questions. Ask them about their co-op internship experience. Ask them about what they are looking for in a career down the line. But finally, don't be afraid to jump out of your comfort zone. I mean, most of us engineers, we are introverted by nature. I am one of them. I am introverted. So things that I do on a daily basis are typically out of my comfort zone. And without going out of that comfort zone, you don't get a chance to grow. And I think that's the biggest thing that students can take away. Just put yourself out there and you have nothing to lose.
Great points. And I think you would certainly testify to the fact that that's how you get ahead. No one's
Yes.
searching you out to say, hey, I want to see that person get somewhere. You've got to put yourself out there, and obviously that's allowed you to advance your career significantly.
Yes. It's just from the contacts and the networking I've done over the years, I was able to land my current role.
Aaron, finally, in the last couple of minutes, what would you tell that student who's listening right now and they're struggling to secure an internship or a co-op?
Don't give up. It's a time consuming entity to look for a new job or look for an internship. It takes time. But if you utilize your resources properly and if you ask questions and if you show that you really care, you'll get the help that you need and hopefully you'll be able to secure a position.
Well, Aaron, and you slipped up there a moment ago, but I suspect there's more to that. You started to say job and then you said co-op and intern. But my hunch is you're probably giving the same type of advice to those students who are now looking for a job in their field.
That's right. It is a full-time commitment looking for a full-time job, we say, because it takes time. And if you make the effort, your efforts will be rewarded.
And Aaron, that's wonderful advice, and it's a great way to wrap up this segment today. And that does conclude segment 2 of today's HR Kyle podcast. First off, Aaron, I want to thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights and expertise with us today.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle. I really appreciated being on and having a chance to talk to you.
Well, you provided some wonderful advice, and I know our listeners really appreciate it. Speaking of our listeners, thank you for tuning in and being a part of today's episode. Your support and engagement mean the world to me. Now, remember, folks, stay focused on your goals, stay grounded in your values, and stay tuned for more insightful discussions on personal and professional growth on the HR Kyle podcast. So until next time, take care and keep striving for success. And remember, stay focused, stay grounded, and stay tuned. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the HR Kyle podcast. We hope you found our discussion valuable and filled with insights that you can apply in your professional journey. Whether you're a business leader aiming to foster a thriving workplace or a job seeker looking to carve out your own path, remember that HR Kyle is the compass that can guide you towards success. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it with your network. We're committed to being your trusted source for HR wisdom, and we look forward to having you back with us for our next episode. Remember, in the world of HR and professional growth, there's always room for progress. Be sure to visit our website at hrkyle.com. That's hrkyle.com to learn more about how we can help you meet your business and professional goals. So until next time, this is HR Kyle signing off. Stay motivated, stay informed, and keep reaching for those career goals. Music provided by bensound.com. That's bensound.com.